You have watched light your entire life. Every morning, the moment you open your eyes, it floods the room. You have seen it bend through water, scatter through fog, ignite the edges of clouds at dusk. And without ever consciously deciding to believe it, you came to assume one thing: light travels. It leaves a source, crosses a distance, and arrives at your eyes. Simple, obvious, almost too elementary to question. But here is what nobody told you. So that assumption, the one you never even noticed you were making, sits at the very foundation of your entire understanding of reality. And Einstein did not just question it. He pulled on that single thread until the entire fabric came apart. What he found underneath was not chaos. It was something stranger and more precise than anyone had imagined. A universe in which space itself is not a neutral stage. A universe in which time is not a fixed river flowing the same for everyone. A universe in which the word moving, that ordinary human intuitive word, requires a complete redefinition before it can be applied to light at all. This is not science fiction. This is not philosophy for its own sake. This is the structure of what is actually there, waiting behind the appearance of things. The invisible law that governs every photon that has ever reached your eye. We are built for the middle scale of things. Human senses evolved to track predators at 20 meters, not particles moving at 300 million meters per second. When we imagine light traveling, we picture something like a very fast arrow. We give it a starting point, a trajectory, a duration. We imagine space as the backdrop, empty, patient, indifferent, and light as the object passing through it. This is the intuition, and it is precisely where it breaks. In 1887, Albert Michelson and Edward Morley designed an experiment that should have been straightforward. They attempted to measure the speed of light in different directions, expecting to find that Earth's motion through space would cause a detectable difference. The way wind resistance changes depending on which way you run into it. The experiment was meticulous. The apparatus was sophisticated. And the result was, to everyone at the time, completely impossible. The speed of light was identical in every direction, every single time. No matter how you measured it, no matter where Earth was in its orbit, no matter how the equipment was oriented, light arrived at the same speed. There was no wind. There was no resistance. There was no variation at all. The universe had refused to behave, and physics would not recover from that refusal for 18 years. Einstein began not with equations, but with an image. He imagined himself riding alongside a beam of light. What would he see? According to the physics of his day, if you moved fast enough, you would eventually catch up with a light wave and see it frozen in space, a stationary electromagnetic ripple hanging in the void. But Maxwell's equations, which described light perfectly, had no room for a frozen wave. A stationary electromagnetic field of that kind simply could not exist. So something had to give. And what Einstein gave up, calmly, methodically, with almost surgical precision, was the assumption that time and space are the same for every observer. He proposed that the speed of light is not fast, it is constant. Not constant in the sense of reliable, but constant in a structural sense, meaning it is the same measured value for every observer in every frame of reference, regardless of their motion. This is not a claim about the behavior of light. It is a claim about the geometry of the universe itself, and the consequence is immediate and severe. If the speed of light cannot change, then what must change instead is time, and distance, and simultaneity. If two observers are moving relative to one another, they do not just disagree about speed, they inhabit, in a precise mathematical sense, different versions of now. This is where the idea stops being abstract and starts being structurally verifiable. Consider a clock aboard a spacecraft, moving at a significant fraction of the speed of light. That clock does not run slow because something is wrong with it. It runs slow because time itself is passing more slowly in that reference frame. This has been confirmed with atomic clocks aboard aircraft. It has been confirmed with GPS satellites, which require relativistic corrections every single day, or your navigation degrades by kilometers. This is not theoretical. It is built into the infrastructure of the modern world. But what does this mean for light specifically? A photon, a particle of light, traveling from the sun to your eye, crosses approximately 150 million kilometers. From your perspective, that journey takes 8 minutes and 20 seconds. But here is what the equations demand, and what many people find genuinely difficult to absorb. From the photon's own reference frame, if such a frame could be defined, no time passes at all. The distance contracts to zero. The journey has no duration. Light does not experience crossing space. It exists at both ends simultaneously in its own frame of reference. The separation you perceive, the vast, silent distance between the sun and your window, is a feature of your reference frame, not of the universe in some absolute sense. Space, in other words, is not where light travels. Space is what appears between events when you observe them from a reference frame moving slower than light. At this point, the natural objection arises. If light doesn't truly travel, then what explains the delay? We can time it. We can measure it. Radar signals take a calculable number of seconds to reach the moon and return. Surely the travel is real, and this is entirely correct. From our reference frame, Einstein never claimed the delay is an illusion. He claimed that the delay is real precisely because of the structure of space-time as experienced by slower-than-light observers. The delay is not a mistake in perception. It is the actual metric of space-time between those two events from your coordinate system. You are not wrong to measure it. You are simply measuring something that belongs to your frame, not to an absolute background. The misconception is not that the delay exists. The misconception is that there is a single universal timeline in which the delay is taking place. There is not. Each observer carries their own geometry. Yours is valid. A photon's would be infinitely compressed. Both are real. Neither is more fundamental than the other. This is not a flaw in the universe. It is its precision. Something quietly extraordinary emerges from all of this. The universe has a maximum speed. It is not enforced by any barrier, any wall, any authority. It is structural, woven into the geometry of causality itself. Nothing with mass can reach it. Nothing with mass can even approach it without requiring infinite energy. The speed of light is not a limit in the way a locked door is a limit. It is a limit in the way that a circle has no corners. And this constraint, this elegant, absolute restriction, is what makes causality possible. It is what ensures that effects follow causes. It is what prevents information from traveling backward in time and dissolving the structure of events into incoherence. Without the invariance of the speed of light, the ordered sequence of the universe, the arrow of time, the chain of consequence, the fact that the past is fixed and the future is open, none of that holds together. The thing that first seemed like a paradox turns out to be the architecture of coherence. The constant is not a prison. It is the skeleton that lets the universe stand. Einstein did not discover a strange corner case in physics. He discovered that the universe is built differently than we feel it to be, and that the difference is not incidental, but foundational. Space is not a passive container. Time is not a universal river. Light is not an object moving through a static void. What you see when you open your eyes in the morning is not the present moment. The light entering your eyes has already traveled. The sun you observe is 8 minutes old. The nearest star is 4 years old. The farthest galaxies you could see through a telescope are billions of years old. You are not looking out at space. You are looking back through time, through the layered, textured history of a universe that has been unfolding at 300 million meters per second for longer than the Earth has existed. That is what light carries. Not just energy, not just color. It carries the record of what was. And you, standing in an ordinary room, in an ordinary moment, are receiving signals from the deep past with every photon that lands on your eye. The universe is not happening around you. It is arriving inside you, one constant speed at a time. If something in this video made you pause, made the ordinary feel strange for a moment, then you already understand what this channel is built for. The invisible laws are always operating. Most people never look directly at them. If you are the kind of person who does, consider staying. There is more beneath the surface than you have been shown.